Young students, you're at a pivotal point in your life. You're making that transition from adolescence to adulthood. There's so many opportunities in front of you right now. So I thought this is the perfect time for someone like me to come along and confuse the hell out of you. Okay? But jokes apart, I've been very excited about this talk because this is not usually what I do. Usually I make music and I perform, I sing. I don't talk that much, but today I'm getting to talk, so please bear with me. Today also the other thing that I'm doing is, instead of sharing a micro learning, which would be tethered to my field of work, which is music, I've decided to share what I think is a more fundamental learning, which will transcend regardless of what you choose to do with your future. And in my opinion, it's all about finding joy and fulfillment. Now, as basic as it sounds, let's explore how to do this. Okay. So, in the zone is what I'm asking you guys to work towards getting in your mind, because I believe time is all we have. And I suppose the sum of our lives will be how we choose to experience that time. It's really as simple as that. Now, as someone who has been enjoying my time here for many decades now, I thought I must share what I believe is the foundation for this. Finding joy and fulfillment in anything and everything that you choose to do. First, let's accept that the one thing that is certain is uncertainty. The outcome of what we do will never be exact as the effort that we put in. Now, don't get me wrong, I believe that when you put in an effort, you will always see some result. But that outcome might or might not be according to what you have expected it to be, right? And that gap between what you expect and what you receive is what uncertainty is about. The second thing that we must acknowledge is that wherever it is that you want to be, your goal is not one big step. There are many small steps that you'll have to take to get there. And while you get there, there are things that are changing around you. The environment around you is changing, technology is changing, job opportunities are changing. It's all changing. So how can your goal not change? Your goal should be open to reevaluation as things around you change. That's called adapting. So you will probably now be asking that I think this guy is successfully confusing us. Because if the outcome is not completely in our control and everything around us is changing, how are we supposed to find this being in the zone and enjoying everything that we do? The answer to that question is that you don't make the outcome alone as the marker of your success. Yeah? I will go ahead. So far, I've had a really enjoyable life. I've never had to work a single day of my life because I enjoy what I do. I've been climbing peaks. I love riding motorcycles, taking high passes, falling in love, staying in love, parenting, reinventing. And I would like to share with you, although till some time back I would not understand why all this has happened. It used to be mysterious. But I think I understand one aspect of it is that I choose to completely immerse myself in whatever it is that I do. And when I do that, I enjoy the process of doing it to such an extent that I suppose the outcome or the importance of the outcome diminishes. And so I don't necessarily make the outcome the only marker of success or failure, right? And this is what I it was sort of reinforced to me when I read a book by a Hungarian-American psychologist whose name I can't pronounce. Anybody wants to give it a shot? Yeah, okay. So Michal is his first name, and the book that he wrote was called Flow, the Psychology of Optimal Experience. What I call being in the zone, what I always refer to as being in the zone, was defined by him as being in a state of flow. And there were plenty of researches done in it to prove that what I've been experiencing all my life is not a fluke, and it is not a chance, and it has nothing to do only with what you choose to do. You can achieve this state of flow in whatever it is that you choose to do. Now, this is how we describe being in a state of flow. It is a state in which you're fully immersed, you're focused in an activity to such a point that time loses its sense of being there, and your sense of self completely vanishes, and you enjoy it to such an extent that the outcome seems to not matter. But then enjoyment, I keep using the word enjoyment, and I think in the vocabulary of young adults like yourself, and more in the vocabulary of adults, enjoyment isn't really like up there when you're looking at a career description, right? You're looking at things like growth and learning and performance and meeting targets and getting promoted and getting a raise. But enjoyment, not so much. And the reason why we shun it away is, I think, because we confuse it with pleasure. Enjoyment is not the same as pleasure. So let's just understand the difference between enjoyment and pleasure. And it's easy to define that enjoyment is deep, satisfying feeling that comes from engaging in activities that challenge and stretch one's abilities, right? It arises from being fully immersed in an activity that requires skill and concentration. And then when you come out of it, you feel this sense of fulfillment and a sense of achievement. As against that, pleasure is transient. It's a superficial feeling of passive activities, immediate gratification, sensory emotional pleasure without necessarily engaging in any effort from your side. So, for example, watching TV is pleasurable, right? But playing a sport is enjoyment, because there is input from your side, there is challenges, and you're meeting it. Just hanging out at the club is probably enjoyment, but staying back or cooking a recipe, that is enjoyment. So that is a key difference. And once you enjoy that, once you understand that, you understand that pleasure might not lead to long-term growth, right? But enjoying yourself will get you there. Now, all of this is fine, but how do you get there? I said that you could do it with any activity, but how do you get there? Well, you get there by being in a sweet spot where your challenge and your current capabilities, they meet. They meet in such a way that that challenge is stretching your current capabilities to a little extent. Now, if you stretch it too far, and if you're far too high in the challenge sector but not in your capabilities, then you'll enter a zone of anxiety and stress, which is what a lot of students face. A lot of adults face that too. But if you go too far down and your skill level is sufficient and you're not challenging yourself enough, then you will get into a zone which is boring. It's a zone of apathy. And both of them are detrimental. And both of them do not lend themselves well to getting into the flow, right? So you have people who say, I'm bored. You're bored because your skill set is not being challenged. A lot of people say, I am stressed. You're stressed because your challenge is such that your skill set is not ready. So then you might ask, what do I do? The challenge is huge. Come back to what I said earlier, which is where you want to be is not one big step. It's a series of multiple steps. So imagine you've got 100 stories to climb. You just say, listen, the third or the fourth step is damn boring, but by the time you get to the 23rd, 24th step, maybe that's where you'll find your sweet spot between your challenge and your skill. And then once you've skilled up, that will become boring and you move on. And that is the way you enter this zone. A zone in which you are so beautifully challenged and engaged that you enjoy being there. Yeah, the whole thing is to enjoy your time. And the last point is where I've been trying to drive all of you there, which is that you involve in the activity because it is intrinsically motivating. Yeah, which basically means you do that thing for the sake of doing that thing. Like the Gita said, karm kar, but phal ki chinta mat kar. Now, on the onset, the first question that comes to mind is, if I'm putting in the effort, am I not supposed to expect the outcome? Well, it's a great question. And we should explore it more. Karma is the effort, phal is the reward. What they meant when they said that, in my opinion, is not that work and don't expect the outcome. What they meant is try to find pleasure and immersion in the work that you choose to do. Yeah? Once you're fully immersed in what you're doing, time will cease and you will not be totally pinned on to the outcome. There is a word for it. It is called autoteric. As it says, someone or something that has a purpose in and not apart. It's derived from a Greek word called ophthoteles. Ophtho means self and telos means the purpose. Yeah? So what I found beautiful when I was reading Nihal's book is that everything that I had been experiencing, which was mysterious to me, seemed like something which was clearly broken down by this psychologist, and he had clearly researched on how anybody and everybody could enter that state. Now take this TEDx event, for example. By the way, this is the first time I'm ever talking, like I said before. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed trying to figure out the topic. I wanted to add maximum value and not leave you with any vague messages. There's lots that I want to share, but this one thing is something which is specific and this can really help you. And so I said, let me focus on this. And I had a lot of fun just getting here. Now this talk will be over in the next 5 minutes, but that is not the end of it. The growth that I have had while giving you this talk and hoping that you will grow is a purpose in itself. Now, once you've entered into this zone, what happens is you start doing things because you like that feeling of being in the flow. Once you start being in the feeling of flow, you want to achieve that feeling more and more, which basically means that you get into what is called the feedback loop. You want to seek out more flow-inducing activities. Yeah? Now, these activities are not necessarily scattered and disconnected. That's the beauty of it. Now, imagine you enjoy doing a thing. Let's say it's sport. Let's say it's your experiments in the lab. Let's say it's reading research papers on whatever it is that you're studying. Once you start getting in the zone and you seek more activities, these sort of stack up, which means you'll keep showing up for what it is that you want to do, regardless of the outcome. And we all know what happens when you keep showing up. Day after day, week after week, month after month, when you keep showing up to do stuff, what happens? You get very, very good at it. So being in the zone, yeah, is a great way of not just being great at what you do and then obviously eventually succeeding. What it does is, it ensures that your journey to that point is an enjoyable one, bringing me back to the very source that time is all we have, and if we learn how to enjoy time, it's a guarantee that we'll have an enjoyable life. Right? Cliched as it sounds, life's a journey, not a destination. It is true, my friends. Take my word for it. I think I've got a lot of gray hair on my head to prove that, right? Never worked a single day, enjoying my life, continue to do so. It's all because you choose to immerse yourself. Now, as an example, I'm not sure whether I'm at the end of it. Yeah, I am at the end of it. Now, as an example, what I'm going to do is I'm going to request your colleagues here to play an AV after I'm done. Now, this is just a 3-minute clip. This is a project that I undertook. It's taken me a year and a half. It's got nothing to do with a clear goal. It has everything to do, well, let's not say goal. It's got nothing to do with a clear outcome. I have a very clear goal. It's taken me 18, 19 months of my life to put this together, and the ideal outcome would have been for me to have this on maybe a big OTT platform, maybe have those big hoardings and banners. As of now, nothing of that is happening. But that is of very little detriment or very little value to me at this stage, because the person that I've become and the experiences that I've had while I did this, which is essentially a documentary about, a composer's journey deep into the Himalayas looking for nomadic music. It is something that I've wanted to do for years. The immersion and the growth and the enjoyment that I felt by putting this challenge up to me and then raising my skill set to meet this challenge, in which I've learned how to make a documentary. I'm a composer, I don't make documentaries, but there are many skills involved in it. There's writing, there's editing, there's a whole lot of skills. But all of that was the skills that you had to upscale to meet the challenge. I want all of you to try and sing along, okay? Let's try this. क्या तू जाने ये या तू जाने ना, क्या तू जाने ये या तू जाने ना. Now it's your turn, all right? 1, 2. क्या तू जाने ये या तू जाने ना. Sing along. तू पहचाने ये या पहचाने ना. आंखों में है उगती सुबह की धूपों में खिले फिर तू इस तरह. तेरे दिल में बसी है हजारों जो ख्वाहिशें, वही तो है धड़कने तेरी. जिसे ढूंढे है तू, जिसे खोजे है तू, जैसे पंछी प्यासा कोई ढूंढे तुझे भी. क्या तू जाने ये या तू जाने ना. तू पहचाने ये या पहचाने ना. क्या तू जाने ये या तू जाने ना. तू पहचाने ये या पहचाने ना. This is your last chance to sing. क्या तू जाने ये या तू जाने ना. Once more. क्या तू जाने ये या तू जाने ना. And this is your last chance. क्या तू जाने क्या तू जाने ये या तू जाने